Good evening, my dear nostrils. Welcome back to the Nashville Nose. I'm your host, Dr. Magnificent. And what's that? There's a chair right here. What's going on with that? I think this chair needs to be filled. Would anyone like to do a collaboration with me? Oh my God! It's John from Refinery Fragrances! Get in here!
Feeling dapper today.
That's right. Today's gonna be a very special one because this is an official collab video.
It's finally happening.
It's finally happening!
Would you believe it?
So how you doing, John?
I'm doing well. You know what? I'm feeling a little bit hot. I was underdressed, so
You're looking really dapper. Yeah.
The doctor was nice enough to lend me a blazer, but it's a little warm in here.
It is a little
I'm
warm
gonna go
here.
sans. I'm gonna go sans.
Look, I suffer for my art. Oh, there he goes. I didn't even know there was space back there. I thought this was just a green screen. Well, it's so good to have you in the Nashville Nose. Like in the Nashville Nose.
It's so great to be here. This has been in the works for quite some time, and it's finally happening, which is great. And to come here and see this collection, it's pretty nuts. This is a crazy setup, so excited to be here.
Thank you, man.
Before we hop into the video, as always, please don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton, and also hit the bell icon for notifications for all future uploads.
And if you're not subscribed to John at Refinery Fragrances, make sure you head over his way too. I will leave a link for his channel down there in the description. Check him out. All right, well, let's get into this top 10 list of Holy Grails.
What is your quest?
To seek the Holy Grail.
I have a lot of fragrances, as do you, and we've been smelling fragrances for quite some time, and to narrow it down to 5 is kind of a tough task, but I think we did a good job. How did you feel about kind of having to comb through this massive collection and pick out your top?
To be honest, John, my brain felt like that guy in Indiana Jones when he drinks from the wrong Holy Grail, and he's like, what's happening? Ah!
My brain was scrambled eggs trying to figure out what I love the best. It's like ficking. It's like picking your favorite children. It's like ficking your favorite children.
Yeah, English.
As
cool.
they say.
Yeah.
I was homeschooled. Coming in at number 5 is from the company Goldfield and Banks. This is Purple Suede. This fragrance is incredible. It has that kind of like green, spicy patchouli thing, but there's some smokiness. If you're familiar with Tuxedo by Yves Saint Laurent, this fragrance, and I've talked about it recently on our Instagram, but it kind of gives me vibes of Tuxedo, but I prefer this over Tuxedo.
Really?
It is more potent on my skin, and it is smokier. So in the really, really cold months, this is a monster. I don't know that you've smelled this.
I haven't.
So we need to get your strills on.
But you know what else we can do? Hold on. We're going to compare it directly to Tuxedo.
Uh-oh.
Because I have it right here.
A little A-B comparison. So at the top, you'll notice it is like an overdose of smoke. And I think that there is
nice.
violet leaf in here, which I believe is also in Tuxedo. So I think that's where the comparison is coming.
And patchouli, I guess,
patchouli,
right? Okay, yeah.
It's not like a dark, gothic, chocolatey patchouli. It's
Okay.
more of that like aromatic green type of patchouli.
By the way, the air is going to smell incredible in here. It's going to be like walking through a Macy's.
Dude, well, I don't want to offend our fragrances. I'm going to say it's going to be like walking through Harrods.
Thank you.
It's going to be like walking through Harrods. in
Neiman
London.
Marcus.
Yes, Neiman Marcus, Saks Avenue.
I will live and die by this guy right here.
Me-
Tuxedo, king of patchouli.
And I agree. I have Tuxedo. I've been wearing it for years. It is one of the sexiest designer fragrances I've probably ever smelled. This is very similar, and it just amps up that smokiness, and I'm all into smoky, tobacco, boozy, oud, dark, resinous type things. This is like a Tuxedo extreme, if you will. Why don't you give that
Now,
a sniff?
You're talking my language.
tell me
Also,
what you
your
think.
girl likes this on YouTube.
She
right?
loves
Oh, yeah.
Tuxedo.
She likes it.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? She loves Purple Suede as well. And it's funny because I sprayed that on, or I sprayed Tuxedo on, and she goes, something smells like blueberry pancakes. For some reason, she associates it with blueberry pancakes. I don't get that personally. But she said the same thing about both fragrances separately. So I know
Really?
that they have a similarity to them. But yeah, I would say like in the winter, I might wear Tuxedo throughout the day. If it's really, really cold outside, I'd reach for Purple Suede.
I can see the blueberry pancake comparison.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like a sweet berry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You get that?
I don't know if you implanted that in my head, and now that's all I can think
Little
about.
power-
But this is
power suggestion.
This is the ultimate thing to wear to IHOP.
Yeah.
Now compare it to Tuxedo. Yeah, it smells bolder, stronger.
I want to say this too. I don't think they're clones by any means.
No.
not
They're very
clones,
different, yeah.
But they kind of have somewhat of a similar DNA, especially in the dry down.
What do you think?
Yeah, they're certainly different.
As they dry down, they start to remind you of each other.
Exactly,
Okay. Gotcha.
exactly. I've just fallen in love with it recently. That's something that has cut through the cold.
Woo,
It gets
yeah.
me compliments. My wife likes it, so it's a winner.
Well, speaking of fragrances that really cut through the cold, I have to put up the Dawn by Xerjoff. And there's 4 notes, and that's
Four
it.
notes?
Whiskey, tobacco, gunpowder, and spun sugar.
Oh my goodness. I've smelled this before. I need to revisit this because it's been a minute.
Oh, God.
The name itself is just so gangster. It's like
It feels very
it's
gangster.
hard to deny.
I feel like I'm in the Goodfellas or something.
Yeah. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
I can't forget about
You
it.
can't-
I'll never forget about it.
I simply can't forget about it.
Yikes! It is just a monster. I feel like I just got mowed over. Insane, dude. And you know what?
Wow.
When I wear it, mad compliments.
I can totally see
From
that.
randos.
Because you said whiskey and tobacco from the sugar. There's
Yeah.
that just light layer dusting, if you will.
And gunpowder, which we've all smelled gunpowder.
yeah, everyone knows gunpowder.
Dead on.
We all have muskets lying around. I don't expect anything less from Xerjoff. Xerjoff makes incredible fragrances that are complex but wearable.
And beastly.
And beastly. And that checks my 3 boxes right there.
Takes me back to when I was working at that Civil War reenactment place.
Tennessee Civil Wars.
Yeah.
That old chestnut. Man, this is good. Okay.
It's so good.
If I had this in my collection, this could vie for a top 5
It's not
spot.
one, I wouldn't say it's signature scent worthy. I don't think it's something you can wear all year round, but in the wintertime, if you want to get noticed.
Spring nights, this would rip. A little bit of heat just helps it kind of jump off the skin. That's stunning. Oh
That
my-
had to be in my list. Yeah.
I don't blame you.
All right, what's your number 4?
All right, so number 4 is a fragrance that I believe came out in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, and I discovered it last year. And ever since that point, it's kind of been difficult to stop wearing it.
Really?
I admittedly, I have 2 100 ml bottles, and I'm just addicted to it. It gets me a ton of compliments. This is Ensalade by Marc-Antoine Barrois. This is rhubarb and vetiver. It's a bit smoky. I believe that at least the marketing for it was that it was supposed to be reminiscent of like a jungle near a volcano that's about to explode.
like that.
So
All right.
it smells hot. It smells steamy. It smells green and a little bit fresh, very spicy.
And too much of it could kill you.
And too much of it. Listen to me. Listen to me.
Listen.
Too much of this stuff will I don't want to get demonetized on YouTube.
Yeah,
but
let's not- no.
it will choke some people out.
Moving on.
This stuff is like nuclear in terms of performance. I can smell it already off the atomizer without even.
Oh, damn.
So I'm gonna give it a spray away from anything else. This to me is sexiness in a bottle, masculinity in a bottle. It is. It is on another planet.
Now I need to get it.
Yeah, it's really good.
I can really get that vetiver in
Yes.
there. It's just like a lot of Mab. It's like edgy. It's got a lot of attitude.
They kind of have a similar theme running throughout the fragrance.
He's kind of got a DNA laced throughout a lot of his releases. So
Yeah, we're not getting paid by Marc-Antoine Barrois, by the way. But I will say,
Not a sponsor.
like, not a sponsor yet, but they don't miss. Yeah,
it doesn't smell anything like Ganymede.
no, it doesn't.
Check them out back to back because Ganymede has that kind of oceanic, minerally.
Totally in a different direction. The only thing I'll say is that you will get ever so slight nuances of the dry down of Ganymede in the dry down
Oh, okay.
of Ensalade. It's very, very slight. You do have to look for it, but I will kind of catch a whiff later
Yeah.
in the day after it's been on for 6, 7, 8 hours. And I'm like, I kind of get that like mineral quality. earthiness to it.
I can see that. I
Ganymede
like
has.
when a brand has its own unique voice, but
Yes.
where their releases aren't so similar to where it makes it redundant to own both.
I
you know?
agree completely.
Yeah.
Like all of Marc-Antoine Barrois' fragrances are unique and long lasting and so different. And big fan of what they're doing with the extracts. And Marc-Antoine Barrois, if you're listening, extrait version, perhaps? I don't know.
Considering what a total game changer Ganymede was and still is, this DNA to the fragrance world, that was a bold move. Going with that one instead, going with Ensalade.
I know. I feel like it's under the radar. It's under
Wow.
the radar. And people, when they smell it, they're like, what is happening? I went into Target one time, got 2 unsolicited compliments while I was walking around in Target. This is a high compliment getter for me. And I think it just has to do with it being hyper masculine. It's sweet, it's spicy, it's fresh. And I don't know, people gravitate towards it.
It needs more hype. So, you know what? I'm really glad that you're giving it some love.
All aboard the hype train.
Ganymede gets plenty of love. We all know
Ganymede gets
it.
a ton of love.
Yeah, you know
And
it.
Salad. Let's go.
It's time for a new king in town.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go with Nishane's Ani. Because not only is it incredible and unique, but I wear it a lot. It's got the freshness from citrus. It's got that cardamom, fresh spiciness. And then it's got this nice, sweet blanket of vanilla just giving all the notes a big, loving hug.
Yes.
It's such a boss.
From the queen of vanilla herself, Cecile Zarokian. Name me a perfumer that does better with vanilla.
I can see why.
It's stunning. It's creamy.
Honey.
I get almost like a little bit of a creamy orange sickle kind of a thing to it.
Yeah.
This is, I need to get this. I have 2 Nishanes and I don't have Ani, which seems like a sin. I need to get this. So thanks for reintroducing me to it. It's been years.
You need it.
I need
You
it.
need Ani.
Shame on me for not.
Shame on E.
Shame on E for not having this. I will get this at some point.
Love the
soon.
heavy caps, too. They're like,
Yes.
that would hurt.
They will ward off home intruders, and it performs probably pretty great.
Another massive compliment getter just for that factor alone. The fact that it's an extrait, so it's so dense. Sometimes when perfumes are more densely concentrated, they don't project as much. This thing projects. It's a foghorn.
Yes, and that's a great point too.
It will be noticed.
Yes, and I love that because I agree. Sometimes extracts, they may sit on your skin for a long time, but because there's less alcohol content in them, it's going to sit a little bit closer and not be as diffusive. That's what I love about extracts that really fill a room.
Yeah.
I think we both kind of like our fragrances to announce themselves. I certainly do.
I mean, if you're going to spend money on fragrance, you want it to be noticed.
Yeah, you can't pair a jacket this cool with a fragrance that doesn't perform. It's not going to work.
Really think my jacket's cool?
Yeah, I do. It's pretty cool. That mustard yellow really brings out the light in your eyes.
Would you believe? Mustard.
I'm hungry now.
I know. I want a hot dog and I want some blueberry pancakes.
This is no stranger to the fragrance community at all. It's been kind of hyped for the past few years. This is Side Effect by Inicio. This is all about rum, and I don't think vanilla is actually listed, but I do get a pretty big dose of vanilla. Hedione, tobacco, sandalwood. It's incredible. It's not overly complex.
Cinnamon? Is there cinnamon in it?
There's cinnamon in it as
yeah.
well. This is a tester bottle, so
Oh, you got them right there. How
cinnamon
about that?
bark,
That's
rum,
convenient.
tobacco, saffron, sandalwood, and hedione.
Cinnamon bark.
Cinnamon bark.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
specific.
Big difference.
Not
yeah.
just that shelf cinnamon. or whatever.
No. For
Not that
plebes.
for plebes. No, this is the expensive cinnamon.
Yes.
To me, this is quintessential fall. When I smell this, it brings me back to the fall time. That transition from the hotter weather into the cold, the leaves start to change, Halloween's coming up. Like, this fragrance is synonymous with that time period for me. It's a beast mode performer. It's a compliment getter. It's not overly complex, really. It's very smooth. This is, I think, a great gateway for people. Although the price point is heavy, I do think that if you're willing to kind of spend that little extra money to get something unique, this is one to look at if you're newer to niche fragrance, because it is not going to kind of offend you, I don't think.
But if someone's, say, for instance, living in Nashville and they're looking for a really good place to shop for fragrances and get them for way cheaper than they would at retail, then would you suggest a place around here somewhere?
I can't think of a... Oh, wait! My wife and I started a perfumery here in Nashville. If you guys are in Nashville, come see us. Refinery Fragrances.
Sure, I will.
And
yeah, I'll be there like every day.
Oh, I know you will be. So yeah, coming soon, and we do carry Inicio, by the way. Shameless plug.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
Hell
man.
yeah.
We're stoked. And
I'm stoked. We
Nashville's-
need a perfume shop.
We do. Now we got niche perfume coming to Nashville, and Side Effect is one we're happy to carry. And yeah, I probably won't ever be without it.
So yes, keep an eye out, and if you're in Nashville, come see him.
Come see
us.
We're in East Nashville. Let's party. Side Effect is number 3 for me. Absolutely love it.
All right.
A goat.
Well, since you conjured the name, you called it Anicio. Is it Anicio? I like that better. It's Anicio.
Anicio. It almost feels
Tingles
like
the eardrums.
Maybe I'm just being too pretentious. That could be it too. I don't know.
Oh, that's definitely it.
Yeah, it's Anicio. Yeah.
But I'm going to bring up one from Anicio's sister brand, Parfums de Marly.
Yes.
And of course, it had to be Leighton.
Yes.
It has to be Leighton. It can't not be Leighton.
It's honestly one of the best men's fragrances that has been created in the last 20 years. In my opinion, I just, it's hard to go wrong.
Oh, God. So many good feels, so many tingly feelings
Yes.
in weird places. Another signature scent, another compliment monster.
Yep.
It's got the spice. It's also got a little bit of this blue freshness to it. I always call it a perfect gateway fragrance into the niche world. Like it reminds you of some things in the designer world, but it has this depth and complexity that just like is just mind-blowing. Again, and also the caps are...
It's got an extra.
Deadly.
It's got a oh my!
I put a hole in the floor.
Dude, I thought we had an earthquake. Leighton has what the French call a certain, I don't know what, but it has. It does have
3
cardamom.
years of French class for nothing.
The cardamom. It's the cardamom. There's like a eucalyptus, almost like a cooling feel at the beginning. Do you pick up on that?
Which makes it nice for warm weather too. Like it's versatile.
And and there's a blast of bergamot in the opening. So if you're looking for a Swiss Army knife all year round, all seasons, all occasion, dressed up, dressed down.
Obviously, I must have a thing for cardamom because
Me too. One that would have made this list, but I don't have it. And I wanted to bring stuff that I had, and it's African leather.
Oh,
That is a cardamom king.
I got it.
To me, the leather is not the star, it's the cardamom. I love it.
Honorable mention.
Yes, honorable mention. Let me
African
just
leather
get
by
out.
Memo Paris. We're gonna just slip that in there because that is
It's-
one of the best cardamoms. Oh, and also, sorry.
Goodness, one of the sexiest fragrances I've ever smelled.
Yeah,
Truly.
that and this one, of course, Intoxicated by Killian. Yeah, kind of reminds me a little bit of Lana Weed L'Homme, a little bit, or Amen by Mugler.
Yeah, I get both of those, honestly. I think the cardamom kind of gives it that Lana Weed L'Homme kind of a feel.
Yeah.
And that darker, boozy patchouli thing gives
Right.
it the Amen. Yeah, this is like a refined version of those. But yeah, cardamom is incredible. Part of the reason why... Sexy. Yes, it is sexy. So I think that's why Leighton is so insane. I think it checks a lot of boxes for niche lovers, but I think it has enough, wearability and mass appeal for people to kind of have a gateway.
So sexy.
So sexy.
I have a lot of Parfums de Marly. I could have picked Carlisle, Greenlee, Percival, Pegasus Exclusive, or Herod would have been great, but this is the one that I wear the most, I think. That closely maybe followed by Greenlee. And that was another factor that I was thinking about for this list was, okay, I've got like my artistic ones that I just love the smell of for me personally, but also I have the ones that I wear a ton of, and this is kind of a mishmash of both of those things.
Exactly. As the fragrance community has coined, dumb reach.
I would not dare call this a dumb reach.
Yeah, that's not really dumb. It might be a dumb reach for niche lovers.
Yes, this is a very, very highbrow dumb reach. This is a require less calculations reach.
Exactly.
Requiring less calculative, I don't know what I'm saying.
It all depends on your tastes, but I think if you went for something, maybe you're new to niche, you got to check out Leighton. There's a reason it's
a
in
no-brainer.
your top 5 out of all of these fragrances sitting here. Yeah. It's a winner.
Again, the guy from Indiana Jones. Brain. It's my brain.
Scrambled eggs. My number 2 is admittedly, I shied away from it because I like coffee in fragrances, but it's not always my go-to. And I've smelled some coffee fragrances that kind of underwhelmed me, Intense Cafe aside. So I didn't look at this, but then when I tried it on, I was pleasantly surprised. It's not really a coffee fragrance, but it is Beat Cafe by Juice Box. This is hyper boozy, hyper woody.
Spray that because I'm not too familiar with Juice Box. I've been eyeing them up for a while now.
This is for fans of something like a Straight to Heaven.
Oh,
perfect, that boozy cedar kind of a thing. This, to me, it's a little fresh too. It's a monster performer.
Really?
Yeah.
What I'm getting in the air right now does not smell like coffee.
No, and I don't believe coffee is actually a listed note.
Really?
Here. The name more comes from what it's inspired by.
Oh.
Every fragrance from Juice Box is inspired by either a genre of music or a musical artist.
Ooh.
This is inspired by jazz. So I think they were just going for that beat cafe, like a jazz lounge.
Wow! Oh my God, I'm ordering this tonight.
Yeah, it is. Is there a place around town that you can get?
You know what? Actually, I should just run down the street and go to this really cool hip joint called Refinery Fragrances in Nashville and just get it from there. Yeah.
Anytime, brother, anytime. But yeah, this is an absolute
This
beast.
might be my first purchase from your shop.
It's incredible. May 3rd is the date. Come swing by, grab some Beat Cafe.
Get in there.
If you are a fan of boozy fragrances and woody fragrances with a little bit of sweetness, but it still maintains just a nice masculine edge. Of course, this is unisex, but in my mind, it leans maybe a little masculine.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm in love with this.
Did you say vetiver in there? Or maybe it's the cedar I'm thinking of, because it
could
has
be
a
cedar.
woody, but a kind of an earthy woody.
Trusty Fragrantic, I hear.
It'll never steer you wrong.
Yeah, never ever.
They're always 100% correct.
Without fail. So it's black pepper, coriander, cognac. So I was actually wrong about that.
Nice.
It's not whiskey, it's cognac.
Cognac, I love
Cistus
that.
labdanum, black leather, tobacco, vetiver, cedarwood, benzoin balm. The main players in my mind are the cognac, black pepper, and the cedarwood.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
vetiver, so like...
I thought there was vetiver in there, yeah.
Good nose. The
Hey.
The nose knows, baby. And look at the little
I love those.
vinyl cap there. It's pretty cool.
There's a lot of glass.
There's a lot of glass.
A lot of glass
Well,
and a little bit of juice.
This looks like 100 mil. It doesn't look like 100 mil, but it's actually a 78
Yeah,
mil.
it psyched me out.
These, feel that bottle. That's a pretty dope.
Oh God, yeah, that's a
pretty-
brick.
That's a brick. Beat Cafe.
Can't stop smelling it. That's
It's
awesome.
insane.
I gotta step away.
Rip it off like a band-aid.
How do I top that? Well, you know what? I got to do a Maison Francis Kirkjohn.
Yep.
Because Francis Kirkjohn's one of my favorite perfumers. And it was
too.
really hard to select a Holy Grail from his line because, I mean, could it have been Baccarat Rouge 540?
Yep.
Could it have been Gentle Fluidity Silver? I wear the hell out of that in the summertime.
Yep.
But the one that just seems to knock everybody's socks off whenever I wear it is Grand Soir. Again, like super simple, nothing too crazy. It's just so perfectly and intelligently blended. But a lot of times, I've said this about things like the modern formulations of Aventus. Sometimes when things are too calculated, it kind of loses some of its soul. But this has soul to it.
I
But
agree.
also like the ultimate introductory amber fragrance. If you're not familiar with ambers, this is like the first one you should absolutely try out.
It's quintessential.
Quintessential.
We just gave somebody a channel name.
No, it's, I'll add the graphic
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
Quintessential. All the puns.
This is, when I think of ambers, this is what I think of.
Yeah.
The smell of this is, again, it's not crazy complex, but it is sweet and it is balsamic and it's resinous, and the performance on me
Yeah.
is nuclear.
Really? On me, it's not nuclear, but it's perfect.
Yeah, okay. In some situations, I would prefer maybe almost less performance. Granted, could I spray less?
I also try not to be offensive.
Exactly,
You
for
know,
sure,
yeah.
for sure. With this, I would not do
That's not true. I really want to be offensive.
Yeah, I mean, if we're digging deep, I mean, we
If we're being honest here,
we'll do 15 sprays.
we're gonna hose everybody down. Yeah.
I do 5 sprays with this.
Yeah, same here.
On like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
night out.
Same here.
I wear this maybe once every 2 or 3 months. I don't wear it a ton.
It's a go-to in the fall, though, don't you think? Absolutely
yes.
fall. Perfect.
Yes, absolutely. In the winter time, kind of after that fall period,
Mm-hmm,
I might wear it once or twice. I think the last 4 or 5 times I've worn this, I've gotten at least one compliment.
Every time I wear it.
It's
every time without fail.
Yeah, and I think there's something about Francis Kirkjohn and what he's been able to do with his fragrances. He knows what people want.
Yeah,
From
yeah.
creating something as massive as Le Mans to Baccarat Rouge 540.
And he was only 26 when he made it. That's
Gosh,
crazy.
What was I doing at 26?
Right? What were we doing?
Jeez.
We're losers.
I'm gonna go cry.
It's that perfect balance between really complex and really interesting, but also just so easy to love.
Exactly.
Anyone who smells it will fall in love with it.
Yeah, and they will smell you.
And they will smell
They
you.
will smell
And they
you
will
with this one.
love you.
Yeah.
All right, well, now it's time for your number 1 pick. Drum roll, please. There it is. There, I can hear it. Yeah.
Creation E. By Rosa Parks. I'm not even going to give it this long spiel. This, to me, is the Aventus of spicy, boozy fragrances. And what I mean by that is Aventus was the first niche perfume that blew my brain apart and got me going down this rabbit hole of
Can't
perfume.
deny it. Can't deny Aventus, yeah.
And I don't think it was until I smelled Creation E, November of 2017 in New York City at Oswald's.
He remembers.
I resonated with this a lot, and it smells like a sophisticated, classy, badass rich guy. You want to smell wealthy? This is it. Now, granted, I had some people pitch in for my birthday to get me this because this is not cheap.
Yeah, you're right.
It's super expensive. So it kind of
know.
is-
I have it too.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hard thing to pull the trigger on. But if you can get a sample of this, if you can get a decant of this, it is cognac, tobacco, ginger, amongst 30 other notes. We've seen some Roja Dove note breakdowns.
Yeah,
There's
they're abundant,
50
yeah.
notes in there, you know. It rings true. What you've heard about this rings true. I get that fizzy cherry Coke kind of a vibe when I first spray this on. Almost like a flattened cherry Coke, but it's so much better than that, obviously.
See, that's what I think about the Eau de Parfum. It smells like a flat Coke.
Cherry Coke,
Coca-Cola.
and this has
Cherry
a little
Coke.
bit more
This
of a-
has more spice and more tingly fizziness to
I
it,
agree.
think.
I agree. I think that the ginger is more amped up in here.
That might
That's
be it.
kind of giving it that.
I think you nailed it.
And even with the concentration, you know, the concentration might be aiding in that effervescence at the top of this. But I don't ever want to be without this in my collection. I'm a Roja fanboy. We love this fragrance.
We do.
and
We really do.
and look at the dent. I've had this for
Look at that.
for a few years, but like that is a dent that when I got this bottle, I don't never.
That's like a $100 dent right
Yeah,
there.
I didn't think I'd ever see a dent like this, but when it's date night, going to a wedding, special occasion, this is a showstopper. I'm glad you loved it because
Let me smell that.
Yeah,
Give me
yeah,
that.
you gotta get the a sniff. Get a sniff of that macerated bottle. This is aged like a fine cognac.
Yes, I'm
so.
hoping that mine does the same. Yeah.
At number 1, Roja Parfums Creation E Parfum, incredible.
And I back it. Well, that was also going to kind of be my number one, so maybe you'll let me share that with you a
Yes,
little
that's a
bit.
co number one.
Creation E is the second most expensive fragrance in my collection.
Oh.
So I figured,
actually.
you know, since I really ponied up the dough for this one was actually more because it is long discontinued and really scarce, really hard to find. It must have only been out for a very short stint because on eBay they're ridiculous. I got lucky because I found a used one from a sweet lady who was getting rid of it, but she loved it, and it's got like 80% juice left.
Yeah.
So
And it's potent.
my wallet is still sore. I sampled this one first, and when I did, I was like, crap,
Yep.
I can't live without it.
Yep.
It's Tobacco Oud Intense
Oh.
by Tom Ford.
This to me smells like you're wearing all black. You're in like a cigar lounge of some kind. You're sipping on a nice cocktail. And this comes across very brooding and dark
Yes.
to me. But it is sexiness to the max.
Oh.
It's incredible. And honestly, such a shame.
Yeah.
It's such a shame that it's discontinued.
Every time I spray it, I hear a cha-ching.
Yeah. Same with Creation.
But I also really love Tobacco Oud. Tobacco Oud could have easily fit in this list. It's funny too because the original Oud Wood is really smooth and Oud Wood Intense is really more funky and animalic.
Yeah.
And I was expecting the same thing with Tobacco Oud, but when I smelled it, it's actually oddly not as intense when it comes to the scent profile.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
smoother.
I completely agree.
Softer. I describe it as velvety almost.
Yeah, there's
Sexy.
a raspberry accord in this, and I think that kind of helps it. I don't even want to say it's necessarily more wearable than the original, but there is that added kind of tart, slightly sweetness buried underneath of it that I think makes it
Buried. Raspberried.
It's raspberried underneath it.
We love puns.
We love it. We love it. To me, if I had to go with one or the other, it's intense.
Yeah.
They took that original Tobacco Oud DNA and didn't change it to be unrecognizable. Sometimes companies
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
They did a flanker here how you would want them to do a flanker.
Let's Tom Ford.
Let's start a petition to have Tom Ford bring back the Oud line.
Bring it back.
We love Oud in America.
And
All
he
right?
does oud well. I'm positive that it's probably an oud accord. He's probably using aroma chemicals.
Yep.
But Tom Ford's got the oud on lock. And when I think raspberry too, I think about Tuscan leather.
Totally.
The leather raspberry. So
Absolutely.
that seems to be kind of a go-to for him. Yeah.
Well, and I might break some news here on your channel. In today's top stories,
Breaking news.
Tom Ford is releasing Oud Wood Parfum.
Ah!
They are releasing a higher concentration of oud wood, and it's
Finally!
it's coming soon.
It's about time, because oud wood doesn't perform that great on me.
Not on me either.
Sadly.
It's carved oud by Tamine for me.
Yeah, yes.
I'm hopeful that that fragrance does well, and it kind of puts some life back into some of the other oud fragrances that they've had in the past. We'll see.
I like what you're saying.
But yeah, I'm very, as oud wood's one of my favorites of all time.
Did I just
Tuscan
break the
leather.
cap? Sorry. No, we're good.
Thought it was like a guitar pick for a second. You
I
drop
thought
it,
the
it's
plate
gone
maybe
forever.
popped out, so I heard this like cling, cling. Anyway, what were you saying? Go ahead.
Just having something like this in the Tom Ford line made so much sense to me. And I know that they still do have some oud fragrances, oud mineral, and they have oud wood,
love it,
obviously. But I think like Tom Ford and oud were synonymous with me for the longest time because I didn't really know oud outside of that.
Right.
And so
kind of brought it to the mainstream.
absolutely it did.
Yeah.
For a
Oud
lot
wood,
of a lot of people. So I'm with you. And this is your number one.
That's my number one. I mean, I had to have a Tom Ford because Tom Ford was the designer brand that got me into niche perfumery.
Same.
Especially from this era
Yes.
of Tom Ford. That's what we are diehards about.
Totally. To me, Tuscan leather is still maybe my favorite leather of all time.
More than ombre leather?
Yeah.
Wow!
I think so.
I finally met someone who actually thinks that because
Yeah.
I felt like
You feel that too.
Everyone raves about ombre leather, and I feel like I'm the only one championing Tuscan leather.
I'm not gonna poo-poo ombre leather, all right? It's good.
I love it, but if I had to choose,
But if I had to choose, it wouldn't even really take me more than a second. I'd be like, Tuscan leather.
Yeah.
It takes me back to a time when I was just getting into fragrance, and that is another one along with Aventus that just... Wait, a cologne or a fragrance can smell like this?
Yeah.
Like, it was so out of left field that I'm like, yeah, there's a lot more to this fragrance world that I need to discover. So yeah, it set me on that
he's
path.
unapologetic and willing to break new ground, and that's what we love about Tom Ford.
You got to be in the fragrance community when a lot's been done, but very worthy number one.
Yes, and I would say that tobacco oud is also another honorable mention because this is impossible to find. So if you can't get this, just try to hunt down that because
Yes.
that's also really great.
It is.
I'll never be without it.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Anyway.
Thanks for doing this with me. This is great.
I feel like we really got some holy grails.
The Holy Grails.
Yeah, that is our respective top fives, our holy grails.
A blessing from the Lord.
Who knows? It could change in a few weeks, but as of right now, that is my top five. Absolutely loving wearing. Your top five was phenomenal.
I think we kind of killed it.
We kind of killed it, all right? We don't want to brag, but we kind of killed it.
No, we want to brag.
Yeah, we want.
Yeah.
We do. We keep saying we don't want to do things, but we absolutely do want to do them. It's intrusive thoughts. Thank you guys for checking out our Holy Grails list. Let us know down in the comments, what are your Holy Grails? Give us a list of 5, 3. Give us your top of all time. We'd love to get a conversation started down in the comments section, and we will see y'all soon.
And stay smelly.
Always.
The doctor is out. So long, refinery heads.
So long, patience.
I should have called him that.
Yeah.
Crap.
My patience.
Nostrils. That's
No, I love that. I love that.